And as promised, joined now by former Gamecock offensive lineman Mike Matulis. Mike, sort of making the transition into the boxing world, man. Obviously, I would imagine there's some carryover from having to block big SEC defensive linemen and now maybe taking out your aggression in another arena. But Mike, first of all, thanks for being on, man. I know you're excited about Saturday. How's everything been going with you, dude?
It's going well, Ferd, and thank you for having me on. Very excited to be here and talk to some Gamecock fans again. Uh, very excited for Saturday night. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so go ahead and get this out of the way. If anybody wants to watch online, it's at watchvyre.com/lights out. That's $9.99. Or they can go see you in person, Jamil Shrine Temple, right here in Columbia. I think doors open at 6:00. You're fighting Lamarco Ellis. But, dude, so tell us, how did you sort of transition from the football world into the fight world? I know I've sort of been following a little bit from a distance. I'd heard you'd been fighting. How long have you sort of been in this arena? And just tell us how it kind of got started. What sort of opened that door for you, man?
For about 4 years now, I've been in the fighting world. I first started just to stay competitive in something, lose weight, and then one of my coaches, the guy who I'm with now, Corey Goodwin, he told me, he's like, don't stop. After the first time that we started training together, he's like, don't stop, just keep training, keep working on it. And he's like, you can make something of it. And I took it and I ran with it. It brought me out to Houston. I had some people bring me out there, some awesome people, worked with a lot of great fighters out there, and excited to bring it back here in Columbia.
Like I talked about, man, I think there's probably some carryover from football and at least the aggressive nature of both sports. But what have you learned, I guess, as far as what has carried over from playing football in the SEC, and then the aspects of that sort of apply to boxing as well?
Some things that people had told me too: your footwork, your feet. It's just like the steps, smaller steps, controlled steps. You fight with your feet. So a lot of that had carried over, especially when you're playing offensive line. Your steps have to be quick, they have to be fast, powerful. So that definitely carried over, and the aggressive side of it. Like you said, going up against guys that are 300 pounds. It's a car crash every time on that line, and so it helps carry over into the fight world. I'm not afraid of that contact. I'm right up in there in the mix.
I know whenever guys sort of play football their whole life and they make sort of that decision, all right, what am I going to do next? A lot of times they're looking for that avenue to sort of get their competitive juices going, to release, maybe some of that physicality that you've been, playing a game your whole life. Have you been able to sort of find that in boxing? I know obviously if you play football your whole life, you probably loved ball. Have you sort of been able to find that love in this avenue as well?
I have. And I love football and I love my time at Carolina, but boxing it's got a special spot in my heart. There's nothing like being in the ring. When the punches are coming and your head's, there's just nothing like it. So I have a love for the fighting. I have the love for martial arts, the boxing. It's a whole different sport. It's a whole different animal. So I definitely have a big love and respect for it.
Yeah. So what was that transition like, man, when you first maybe got in the ring for the first time? You probably have some expectations, about what part's going to be easy, what part's maybe going to be harder. What was it sort of like? All right, boom, I'm pretty good at this, or was it kind of like, oh my God, this is way harder than I thought?
Way harder than I thought. Those first 3 minutes, I about threw up. It's the longest 3 minutes of your life, when you're not in shape. And so that was one of the things that I learned quickly, is to get in shape. And, the defense, keeping your hands up, hitting and not getting hit. It's a whole different, a whole different learning curve that I had to get through. But it was fun. It was challenging. And, and I'm still learning. I'm still getting better every day that I'm training and every day that I get in there. But it's definitely a different learning curve.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, man, on sort of the fitness end of things. You would have been at South Carolina, sort of the tail end of the Spurrier era. So I'm trying. Would that have been Joe Connolly, strength coach?
Yes.
So what are maybe the differences if you sort of get down into the details the fitness side of training for boxing. It seems like, man, offensive linemen, there's sort of like a weight profile they're always wanting guys to be at. If you're going to
Mhm.
play SEC, offensive tackle or guard, they want you to be at least 6'3", maybe 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", and they want you to be at least like 290 pounds. I feel like maybe more. It seems like offensive linemen, when they get out of football, some of them either get honestly way out of shape
Yeah.
or they sort of trim down.
Mhm.
What has that sort of part of the process been like the fitness side of this sport versus football?
Endurance too. I mean, it's getting in shape. I mean, your football is that quick. A play lasts an average of 7 or 8 seconds. The round lasts about 3 minutes. So
Mhm.
you're in there for a lot longer. The fight's going on for much more duration, and then the difference is too with the strength training. I mean, I don't hit the weights as hard. I'm not squatting as much weight. I'm not benching as much weight. I don't need to do that. More of it is just kind of making me better for boxing or making me better for fighting as far as just body weight, body control, body movement, and then that longer duration of being able to do sprints and running distance.
I think, man, from what I was always told when you were here playing ball, you were already sort of a pretty health conscious guy as far as what you eat, what you put in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Has that part of it changed at all with training with this?
Yes, and thankfully too, because while it was fun, I don't have to eat as much food. And you tell people that, and they're like, "Oh, that's great! You get to eat as much as you want." And you're like, because I'm eating 2 things of baked chicken, like 3 cups of rice, and I'm eating that for like 6 or 8 meals a day when I was trying to gain weight. So my meals have just cut back. I don't eat as much, and it's great feeling.
Yeah, you're not having to just like pound just
Yeah.
food. Do you know what sort of calorie count you were on when you were having to make sort of weight at South Carolina?
I mean, anywhere from 8,000 to 9,000 calories. Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of food, a lot.
Wow, that's crazy, man. So let's go back. Obviously, you signed with South Carolina. You're from Florida originally. We obviously cover a lot of recruiting on Gamecock Central. So do you remember much about sort of the recruiting process and how it played out, and what the sort of deciding factors were that led you to South Carolina in the first place?
I mean, yeah, we were actually, I was at dinner with Garrett Anderson and Brock Stadnick the other night, and we were just talking about it. One of the big things for me was Coach Elliott. I love South Carolina. I mean, I went out to Texas for a couple of years, and I was in New Orleans for a little bit. And ultimately, I love the state of South Carolina. It's a beautiful place with beautiful people. But for football wise, the stadium, I mean, I came on my recruiting visit to when we beat the #1 Alabama. I mean, a hell of a visit. And then not only that, just Coach Elliott was a phenomenal coach. I mean, I remember seeing him in that mosh pit for Alabama, and he came out face all bloodied, and he was just jazzed up. I mean, he looked sometimes more fired up than the players, and I was like, I can get behind that.
Have you been able to follow him much at all? I know obviously at Georgia State, man, he's gotten his shot there as a
Mm-hmm.
head coach, and it seems to be going really well for him there. Have you been able to sort of follow him after you left Carolina?
I have. Occasionally we'll write to each other on social media and stuff, and I follow him, so I've seen what he's doing over there, and it's no surprise to me. He's a hell of a coach.
All right, man. So you're there at South Carolina for like the golden years. Everything going well. You get to play with obviously some great players alongside you as well. What do you maybe remember about South Carolina as sort of your maybe fondest memories at
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina, whether it's big picture or one specific day, just anything that stands out to you about your best times there?
Winning. I mean, when we had those years where we were winning, I mean, I remember just, you walked around town, and it was a lot different as far as how they treated you. Now, I don't know now because I'm not playing, but, when they looked at you, people were like, oh, you played for Carolina, you played for Carolina, you played for Carolina. And it was just the amount of respect that you got. It was really cool. And coming from South Florida, there's Miami and stuff like that, but they don't really gravitate towards college football like they do here. And so when I came here and in those first couple of years, seeing that, it was really cool. A great experience.
I know everybody sort of has a Spurrier story. So I'll ask you open-endedly, what was it like playing for somebody as just different, for lack of a better word? I mean, I feel like Spurrier doesn't act like most coaches. What was it like playing for Steve Spurrier, man?
It was unreal. I mean, and his wife Jerry she was an absolute angel. But playing for him, you knew where you stood. If he didn't like you, you knew, and that's you can't ask for more than that. You know, especially in this business of college football. You know, Coach Spurrier let you know where you stood. But he was different.
Do you remember is there a specific Spurrier story that stands out, that you'll always remember or anything like that?
My recruiting visit, when he came actually home to see me in Florida, he came for the dinner that we had at the house, and he just, the stuff he used to, we were eating dinner, and my dad's like, all right, Mike wants to come to South Carolina. We're going to need some rings. And Coach Spurrier just kind of sits back, and he's sitting like this, and he goes, shoot, man, I've already got my rings. I've got them. And so he just very, very cocky, he just who he was. And that to me is always just, it stood out because, I mean, we were dying laughing. All the coaches were laughing, and it was he didn't care. He said what he felt, and if he liked it, awesome. If you didn't, awesome.
Were you already committed at that point, or that was the day you committed? Or
I was, yeah. I committed actually after my first unofficial visit here to Carolina.
I got you. And obviously everybody sort of has an opinion on how things are going now. Kind of a roller coaster ride of a season so far. Big win against Auburn. Obviously ugly loss to LSU. I know you said you've been watching them a little bit. What's sort of been your take, and maybe your take on the offensive line? It seems like the run blocking, like the running game, has sort of been there with these guys.
Yes, and that's something that I was going to say. I mean, as far as run, they look good, on the offensive line, and it's a tough season. The circumstances that we came into it, with a new offensive coordinator, new quarterback. At times they look really good, and at times, there's some things that they can definitely work on. But I worked for Muschamp. I was an intern for a little bit, and I think he's a hell of a coach too. So well, hopefully they can turn some things around and fix some of the little kinks in the armor.
Yeah, so you were there sort of for the transition. Then I know your last year would have also been Spurrier's last year, I guess, right? And then
yes,
intern with Muschamp. What was that like? I mean, even just from the media side, like I'll never forget when I got a text saying, "Hey, just off the practice field, Steve Spurrier is retiring," and I'm like, "At the end of the year?" And they're like, "No, like
yeah,
he's done." So I know everybody sort of has a story of where they were within the program. When did you actually find out? And who did you hear from Spurrier himself, or how did that play out from your end?
Yeah, so we were right there on the field. I mean, he called us up after practice, and he was like, not these words aren't verbatim, but he was just essentially, he was like, sometimes when you're done, and he goes, I'm done. And I remember Miss Spurrier was definitely, you could see that there was a lot of emotion going on, and it wasn't like he came out right and said, hey, I'm done. It just kind of, he used those words, and everyone's looking around like, what just happened? And I remember getting a text from Coach Elliott later that night, and he's like, yeah, it's we're in the hunt for a new coach.
So he told y'all, but even then you're kind of like, what exactly did he mean at that point?
It was like a shell shock almost, I mean, it was wild.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. So all right, let's get back to the fight on Saturday, man. I imagine most of the preparation is sort of done. You're just getting to the fight now. But what did the next few days look like for you as you get yourself physically, mentally prepared, for battle on Saturday?
The physical part's done. Now it's, staying loose, stretching, getting a good sweat in. We'll do some training tonight. I like to walk the day of. I like to go up for a nice long walk in the morning, kind of clear my mind, no music, no nothing. But it's just the big part of it is just getting mentally ready.
I got you. And I want to encourage everybody watching or listening, go check Mike out either in person, Jamil Shrine Temple this Saturday night. Doors open at 6:00, or I'm going to put it up on the screen. Watch vyre.com/lights out. You can watch it on there. Mike, if they haven't seen you fight before, man, what can the Gamecock fans that want to follow you and watch you on Saturday, what can they expect from you on Saturday, man?
A big win. Come out and check it out. See for yourself. We're about to bring boxing to Columbia, South Carolina.
You heard it right there. That's Mike Matulis. Mike, man, we appreciate the time. Great to see you're doing well, man. You look really, really happy, man. So I'm happy for you. And let's do this again, all right? And get that big win on Saturday, man. Okay?
Thank you for having me, man. Have a good one.
Yep. Awesome, dude. Hey, that's good stuff, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. It was cool.
Yeah, hey, I'll be following, man. So go get that dub on Saturday. And like I said, for real, man, let's talk again, okay?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, man, for having me.
Yeah, man. Have a good one, dude.